Details in the case of a teenage prostitute who says she slept with dozens of police officers. The most serious charge against one of those cops is now going to trial. Today, testimony from the woman at the center of this salacious case.
She provided intimate details of her encounters with one of those officers. KPIX 5 reporter Daw Lynn was in the courtroom as she took the stand. Daw?
Liz, the ruling just came out about an hour ago. A judge says after listening to the young woman's testimony, he believes there's enough evidence to move the case forward and to prosecute the police officer or the former police officer. Former Oakland police officer Brian Bunton smiled and seemed relaxed outside of a courtroom today. But inside, he had a different demeanor, straight face, and looked straight at the victim who was testifying against him. No filming inside the courtroom. This is file footage of Jasmine Abuslan, who also went by Celeste Guab. The former sex worker testified in court. The former officer tipped her off on an undercover prostitution sting in exchange for sex and Starbucks coffee. She nicknamed Bunton Superman. This is part of the evidence presented in court by the prosecutor. Jasmine says the officer texted her to stay off East 14 from Fruitvale to 42nd tonight. There's a UC operation, meaning undercover operation sting.
This is the first time that she's come face to face with him in a courtroom and having to retell the story. I imagine she's, has a lot of nerves and emotions that she's trying to deal with.
Jasmine was so nervous at one point during the questioning that she threw up the water that she was drinking. She described in detail their sexual encounter last March, that she gave him oral sex right after Bunton got off his shift from the Oakland Police Department. The defense attacked Jasmine's credibility. The defense also said the former officer lied about the undercover operation, so technically no crime was committed.
There never was an undercover operation that night, and the fact that he told her that information because he wanted to keep her out of the rain and off the street on a cold winter night.
The judge did not buy that argument coming from the defense. He is having the officer or the former officer come back to a court hearing on June 5th, facing 2 counts, obstruction of justice for basically tipping off Jasmine, and also for having sex with the prostitute. Liz?
Yeah, Daw, it sounds like the defense is not necessarily disputing what happened between the two, but they were trying to discredit her testimony by pointing out possible inconsistencies.
That's right. The defense was saying that, hey, the sex or the oral sex did happen, but that it was between 2 adults agreeing to an act. And they're also saying that the officer was not trying to endanger other police officers by tipping her off, that he was basically trying to help her. And the defense was also trying to portray Jasmine as a stalker, basically saying that she kept texting the former officer, even though he had blocked her phone calls after a certain point. So, but obviously the judge did not buy that today.
All right, Daw Lynn live for us tonight. Thank you, Daw.